Hi, friends. I have a Valentine story to read with you today. It's called The Valentine Bears. This story was written by Eve Bunting, and the pictures were by Jan Brett. Let's read this book together. The Valentine Bears. What do you see on this picture? It was October 14th, and the bear's den was snug and secure for winter. Mrs. Bear set her alarm for February 14th. Then she curled herself comfortably against Mr. Bear's back and listened to his snores. It was good to settle down for a long 4-month sleep. When the alarm went off 4 months later, Mrs. Bear could hardly believe it. It seemed as if she'd just gone to bed. "Oh, my," she said, yawning. "Spring already?" And then she remembered. It wasn't spring yet. She set the alarm early for a special reason. Mrs. Bear stretched and scratched and kissed Mr. Bear on his nose, and then she got up. Mr. Bear could sleep through just about anything, and she was glad because she had things to do. First, she made a sign. "It's nice to share Valentine's Day with someone you love." And she tacked the sign on the wall so Mr. Bear would see it the instant he woke up. Leaves had blown into the den while they slept. Mrs. Bear brushed them into a pile and swept them outside. "Brrr," she said, standing in front of her den. "You think they'd put this special day in summer. Mr. Bear and I have never shared a Valentine's Day in all our years together." It's still winter time on Valentine's Day. Mrs. Bear dug up a honey pot that she had buried in the fall. She pawed off the lid and smiled. It smelled fruity and rich. It smelled like summer, just the way that Mr. Bear liked it. That was a present that she hid in the snow. Mrs. Bear carried the pot inside and put it on the table next to a bowl of crunchy dried beetles and bugs. Crispy critters. Mr. Bear loved crispy critters. I don't want that for my Valentine's Day treat. She had made 2 Valentine poems way back in the summertime, and now she pulled them out of a drawer. One of them said, "Red berries are red, blueberries are blue, termites are sweet, and you are too." And the other one said, "Your teeth are so sharp, your claws are so fine. Dear Mr. Bear, you are my Valentine." She couldn't decide which poem she liked best, so she decided to give them both to Mr. Bear. Mrs. Bear huddled herself deep in her coat and went outside again. "Only crazy creatures would be out this early in the year," she muttered. The sun was shining through a haze, pale as milk, and crows were cawing in the white air. The arms of trees scratched at the sky. Mrs. Bear clawed away at the ice on top of the pond. She splashed some water on her ears and her nose. She sleeked her head fur and took a long, cold drink. It was time to wake up Mr. Bear. Mr. Bear's snores drifted from the den, and she smiled. Mr. Bear could sleep through just about anything. Mrs. Bear shook his shoulder. "Time to get up, Mr. Bear." Snored Mr. Bear. So Mrs. Bear shook harder. "Wake up, Mr. Bear." Mr. Bear shrugged her away and turned his face to the wall. "Just 5 more weeks," he begged. Mrs. Bear poked his back. "Happy Valentine's Day!" Mr. Bear curled himself into a ball, was all he said. Oh, no, you don't. Mrs. Bear pulled Mr. Bear's ears until he uncurled himself. She tickled his paws, and she pried his eyes and watched them drop closed again. Said Mr. Bear. He must be very tired. Mrs. Bear sighed. She took their empty berry can, snuggled deep in her coat, and she went back outside. A wolverine was sleeping safe in a hollow log, and a deer was getting a drink from the pond. It stopped drinking and looked at Mrs. Bear with surprise as she filled the berry can with water. Mrs. Bear decided that the deer had probably never seen a bear up and about so early. Usually bears are still asleep. She carried the can of ice water inside. "I'm sorry about this, Mr. Bear," she said, "but you can't just keep on sleeping. This is a very special day. 1, 2, 3. "Surprise!" said Mr. Bear. And he sat straight up. It was a surprise, all right. Mrs. Bear jumped, and the ice water splashed all over her. Oh, dear. Mr. Bear hugged her. "You thought I could sleep through just about anything, didn't you?" he boomed. "Well, I fooled you. Happy Valentine's Day." He pulled out a box from under his pillow. "I've had these here all along." "Oh, Mr. Bear, chocolate-covered ants, my very favorite." Mr. Bear licked his lips. Mine too." He admired the sign on the wall. Then Mrs. Bear ran for the poems, and Mr. Bear read them out loud. "Dear Mr. Bear, you're my Valentine. That's lovely." Then his nose wrinkled. "Is that fruity, rich summer honey I smell?" Mrs. Bear smiled. "Will you join me at the table?" she asked. They sat together, sharing Valentine treats, until shadows filled the den, and the bowl and the box and the honey pot were empty, and the special day had ended. And then they went to sleep again until spring. What a fun Valentine's story. I love reading stories. If you would like to read more stories with me, you can hit the subscribe button below so we can keep reading together. And if you would like to learn more things like about bears or about Valentine's Day, I have a special virtual preschool and we learn about lots of things on a screen just like this. There's a link below for that too. I hope to see you again soon, friends. Bye-bye.